Challenging your brothers to create next level wealth, Hans.
Make more wealth.
Yes, a great role for an elder. A great role for an elder. This is something that I think a lot of men are going to feel like, hey, mind your own business. That's none of your business how much money I make, what level of wealth I'm creating. It's a taboo topic in different cultures. To talk about money, talk about how much money someone's making. And I think it's a perfect role for an elder to inspire, challenge, mentor a brother, a younger man to make more wealth.
When you say wealth, are you thinking only or mainly about money?
It doesn't need to be just money, but I was thinking about money in particular. If you have a community, if you have a family, if you have a tribe, that comes from the Mormon background. And, in Utah, and probably elsewhere as well, like Mormons do business with Mormons. You see like Indians doing business with Indians, Chinese with Chinese, Jews with Jews. There's a lot of different kind of ethnic groups and religions and families that they really have this kind of upward spiral alliance, keeping the money in with their people. And I think, so in that kind of, in an alliance, the more money, if you're all really doing business with each other, the more money one person brings into that alliance, the more money there is for everyone. Even if you're not giving it out, even if you're just trading business. It matters how much.
Especially when you're not giving it out.
If you want to be able to take care of your parents, if you want to be able to, support the weakest link in the family, whatever it is, someone's on tough times. Yeah, making more money, creating more wealth is a great role for a man, for his people. And like I said, oftentimes we have barriers to this, as money is often a taboo thing to talk about.
Like barriers in a general sense about.
You could have an idea. You could have an idea. I'm challenging you to make more money, and you could be like, "Hey, screw off. I'm fine. I'm happy. That's none of your business. It's my life. It's none of your business how much money I'm making."
So it's more against the taboo around money than it is about being challenged to make more money.
Well, whatever resistance that
a
man might have to being challenged to make more money, that's what you have to deal with. And so we come back to, if you really have the relationship there, right? He feels that you care about him, and he respects you, probably because you are making a lot more money. Then you can have that influence with him. So it's definitely something that my brothers and I have challenged each other on over the years. And in the beginning, it was me challenging them to go from minimum wage earners working for me in a landscaping business to starting their own business. And it was a whole lot of fun, It was a whole lot of fun taking on the challenge of being entrepreneurs. For me, this is a flag I carry as I travel the world. Yes. I really see how almost everyone could benefit by taking on the challenge of becoming an entrepreneur.
And what's the role when you challenge, but also for you, so in your own life, making more money, and also challenging other men to make more money? What is the role of doing that to take more care of your people? And how is that going beyond, for example, feeding a more like a competitive spirit. Like I've been making more money and I've seen you making more money, and that in itself to me is like, that's inspiring and challenging enough. I'm like, fuck man, I want to make more. I want to make, you know, the idea for me of taking care of my people has been less of a driving force in that, you know. It's been partly of it. I want to know my people, that I want my people to know that I make enough money or make a lot of money or more money, you know. So in your life, making more money, how big is the role of you feeling you want to take care of your people? Also, as an elder, if you inspire younger men to make more money, how big is the role of taking care of your people in how you bring that? You see what I'm asking?
I'm not sure if there's two separate questions there or just one, but I mean, you and I don't have kids. We don't have a wife to provide for. We don't we don't own much, you know. We don't own houses and until lately, I wasn't taking on a role of making money to be able to take care of other people. Lately, been taking on more of that role with my mother, who's aging, and with other people that especially in Africa, there's you know, I take on mentoring people as I travel, both helping them to get into entrepreneurship, and oftentimes that does come with extending an investment, you know, in them getting started with their business. So that's mainly in the way that I've done it. I get a lot of joy out of seeing someone take the risk of starting a business and then having that success and realizing, hey, I am an entrepreneur. And then from then on, they're making more money, they have more confidence, they can take better care of their people. So up until recently, it hasn't really been I've wanted to make more money to provide financially for my people. That hasn't been the motivation. But, you know, as we're exploring this conversation on reclaiming elderhood, I think it's a priceless role that an older man can provide for younger men. One, go out and make that money, so you simply inspire them by who you are and showing them what's possible. Two, so they respect you, so you're going to have influence when you do go to challenge them or mentor them. And then three, actually show up and challenge their idea of what's possible for themselves. Challenge whatever beliefs they have about money or themselves. And it's, you know, it's being the role of coach. You see so many people making money being coaches today, consultants and so forth. This just used to be the role of an elder in a tribe. You know, you just have that responsibility. Now it's something that people only have if they pay for it. But again, I think taking on being an elder in the many different ways that we're talking about, it's great training in up-leveling your leadership skills. Mm-hmm. And it'll pay dividends all the way around, just taking on that extra responsibility.
Yeah, I'm imagining the difference, you know, if you do have kids and a wife, you know, how committed you become then. You know, it's not like how challenging in a way it is when you don't have that, right? And how can you get to that same place of commitment around these matters, you know? Because if you do have children, if you do have wife, you know, not making that wealth or that money is not an option. It's not an option. You gotta find a way.
Yeah, I remember going out and visiting my grandfathers and uncles in Utah and Idaho when I was growing up And my grandfather was always in so many business deals, and people would come to him for money. People would come to him to do business deals. I would go through his house. He'd have this room. This one room just had like his real estate plans for entire subdivisions and neighborhoods, and like he was kind of taken over in a way, And I had uncles who were real estate developers as well. There were streets, like there was a street named after my mom. It was awesome just seeing my grandfather and my uncles taken over in a way. Just them being who they were was a great inspiration. I remember I went out to meet with my Uncle Mark a few years before he ended up passing away, and he at the time he was worth about $30 million, had 30 different businesses, but he spent most of his time hunting, fishing, and golfing, and that in itself was like whoa, you can do this, And I remember I sat down to him for lunch, him and his new wife, and he was telling me that they just hired one of these new MBAs at a university, but he wasn't even sure if it was MBA or BMA or what it was. Like, he didn't have a university degree, he didn't have an MBA, and it didn't matter, Just as an example, you just go out in the world and you create what you want. It's a huge gift.
Yeah, I remember my father selling my motorcycle for 50% more than I was ready to sell it for, And like, he didn't get education. Well, nothing, but he's great at making offers and selling, and he made a living that way. And to me, he was also inspiring in the sense that he could. I mean, he had a job as a truck driver, but he's a salesman, and he evolved into that too, as he was doing other jobs. But to see that he would always like find ways to like hustle and do different things, I remember he was a cyclist too, and we went to the races, and he had found like Russian inner tubes, like I don't know where he got them, but he would always buy things and sell, and then everyone was like, what, and he would open the trunk, and everyone was gathered around, and he would just sell like a market, and he would find ways.
Yeah, these stories can live on like legend in the family. I remember as a kid hearing stories about my grandfather when he left home at like the age of 14 and was hustling with different things, and then he went into the military. I still remember some of these stories, like they would get like a weekly allowance of like cigarettes and other things, and he would sell his cigarettes. And I remember at the time now these stories seem like no big deal to me, but at the time I had this like heroic image of my grandfather wheeling and dealing and breaking the rules and making his own money from different ways. And it's a great thing, It's a great thing for a young boy to be able to see that you don't have to obey the limiting beliefs and the rules of society. You go out and just create, be a creator.
It's like almost like as an elder, the role take on of instigating or teaching entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial spirit, in the sense of I am undertaking, I am creating. I'm not just undergoing what's happening, but I'm taking life by the reins, and I am creating. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to forge a way.
Especially in today's world, where so much is about institutions, finishing school, get a job that someone else created for you. Everything is like delegated out, and we may be heading into times of even greater change and upheaval. And in those times, that skill of being able to create opportunity for yourself, to be able to create wealth, is going to be more important than ever. In times of great change, there's not companies looking through a bunch of CVs to hire the next person. You know, there's that ability to create is I think it's a fundamental role of a man.
Yes.
You got to go. Okay, the buffalo have left the territory. You know, and winter is coming, and the family needs food. How are we going to eat? You might have to make up a new food source. You might have to travel to a new place. You might have to devise a new way of hunting or trapping, or your people don't survive. This way of like creating wealth, creating opportunity is
So it's almost
fundamental human skill.
It's almost like if school or parents teach to be a good boy or be an employee, you know, the elder is there to teach you how to be a rebel, you know, to draw outside the lines, to go on an adventure, to take risks. Is everything the institutions, and that could include the parents, are not teaching you.
I really do see it that way. Yeah, like your parents and teachers teach you about, you know, obeying the rules and getting it right and all of this. And I do kind of have this rebellious idea about elders like uncles and grandfathers,
And both are needed.
it's this bigger invitation into manhood that goes beyond, yeah. There's something that O used to talk about where he would say that, and I really have no experience with this, so I can't say, but that in Native, I think he's talking in particular about Native American communities, you'd have like different levels of, there's a certain myth that's taught to the younger ones. And then you get a little bit older and they take you through the next like rite of passage and you realize that old myth is not how it was. Here's the new reality, but the new reality is just a new myth. And then you get a little bit older and each myth is just to get you to the next stage of what you need to get to. But in that way, it's and that's really kind of what a rite of passage is, you know, which taking on starting a business can be a rite of passage. Because it transforms your identity, how you see yourself, how you know yourself, and how you're known in the community, and it transforms your beliefs about reality and about yourself. So, yeah, I think challenging a young man to go out and start a business. I remember having talks recently about one of my, see my oldest nephew? Yeah, my oldest nephew, about starting businesses. Whereas for many people, you just grew up thinking about getting a job, you know? So yeah, I think it's a great rebellious role for an elder.
More exploration on how to be an elder. I like the articulation of it's you inspire or you teach them to be a rebel, and it encompasses a lot of what we've been talking about, you know, entrepreneurial spirit, go on an adventure, do things that are risky.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm trying to think of this Native American tribe. I read a book about Empire of the Summer Moon. It was the Comanche. So, and I think this was the case with a lot of the way the Native Americans were. You have the warrior or the brave. This is the young man who takes on the identity of the warrior, you know, fighting and warring for his people. You can become a father. You know, eventually you may become like a chief of the community or the village. Chosen in some tribes, it was the elder women that would get together and they would choose the male chief. You know, the older women they're done with their cycle, they're done with their period, so their emotions are not all over the place. And they have children and grandchildren, so they're thinking about all these people. They come together and think about the man they trust to think about all their people. And but then there's the war chief, and the war chief is could be any warrior who has a vision You know, a vision has come to him, and it's just there, and he's like, I had the vision to go hunt the buffalo here, or I have the vision to go raid this other tribe here, or go to war over here. And the people who, he's not a chief in the sense he can tell anyone what to do. He just has this compelling vision, and whoever feels inspired by that vision goes and rides with him on this mission. And it's the war chief that largely we're not trained to be in the modern world. The visionary disrupts and breaks the rules and causes chaos in the modern world, which is all built on order, maintaining order.
Yeah, we're taught to be good boys instead of great men. Not rock the boat.
Yeah, there aren't that many entrepreneurs even these days who have a new idea about what's possible. There are not so many Elon Musks out there, you know, who say that we can colonize Mars, or we can, you know, the things he takes on are like solutions to humanity's problems that humanity has just accepted. Well, that's not going to happen. You know?
What if?
But those visionaries, those war chiefs, fundamentally they're entrepreneurs, you know, and we need more of those.
What if, and how can you? Or how can I?
Yes.
If you feel called and you want assistance, help, brothers, people on the same direction, we're here. We're here for you. That's a role that I would like to, that I'm taking on. You know?
What role is that?
Of elder, or brother, and ally. You know, because it could be lonely. And
yeah, it doesn't need to be help that you want. Simply connection, brotherhood. We are calling forth men who are choosing to take on far more responsibility in life on behalf of their people, themselves, and humanity. So if you're feeling called to that, stay connected, get more connected, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Are at your service. See you tomorrow.